Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Monday. Welcome to the start of a brand new week. I hope it's a good one for you thus far. Today is October 23rd. Yes, October 23rd. Just cutting the cards a bit. I don't have any particular spiritual small talk to share, at least not at this moment. But every time I say that, something usually pops up. So let's see what the bottom is. Oh, the Emperor. All right. So this is establishment, law. Well, I almost said law and order, but not particularly. So more the order and authority than law and order, I would say. So I don't know why I said that. Maybe just a Freudian slip, I don't know. But the Emperor is definitely someone that is in a high ranking, holds a lot of power and authority, influence, prestige, is in the upright definitely one that you could consider to be a protective figure, and since he since it's an indication that he has a great deal of responsibility being the head of an empire, that he is responsible. So, but these are indications. We all know there are good rulers and there are not so good rulers. So just because you have the position of power doesn't necessarily mean you do well with it. And unfortunately, a lot of times that is the case because power is one of those very tricky elements that can trigger pride and ego quite quickly and drop you into your karmic or lower vibrational natures. Well, I should say carnal, not karmic, but the return is karmic. Indeed, when you have great power and you don't use it wisely. But for all intents and purposes, let's just say this is an emblem of authority and power that perhaps is in the upright as it stands now, okay? Or at least was at some point in time. All right, so let's see what we got here. Should I take these? They kind of flipped over. I usually don't take them well, actually I had the cards flipped over, so that's fair. All right, so we got the 10 of Wands and the King of Wands. The end of some struggle or cycle. And then the King of Wands is, I just heard upgrade. So, hold on now, because we also have the Wheel of Fortune. Could be Sagittarius energy we're talking about, or Aries. Definitely heavy fire sign energy because the King of Wands can be any of the fire signs, but certainly Leo most prominently, but also Sagittarius or Aries. And then the Emperor is more or less Aries energy. And then we got the Wheel of Fortune, which is absolutely Jupiter vibes, and that is Sagittarius as well. Let's see here. So something highly energetic is taking place at this time with all this fire energy. Maybe a rapid change with the Wheel of Fortune. It could be, I'm hearing upgrade. And Wheel of Fortune makes sense because that also can speak to evolution or a divine change, but with the element of Jupiter, which is very expansive, can accelerate the outcome or even magnify it or multiply it. And it definitely is giving me matters of time here. So maybe something that was supposed to take so something that was supposed to take a shorter time, it's like this is like an overnight sensation is what I'm hearing with the 10 of Wands and the King of Wands. And then starting with the Emperor is like whomever this is is evolving at a rapid pace. Some cycle has been wrapped up and ended by way of the Ten of Wands. Someone has decided to lay some burdens to the side, some extra baggage. With the Ten of Wands, it definitely implies that a cycle is not just over, but completed. But I always, more or less read it that even at the time of completion with the Ten of Wands, it's still a matter of what you're going to carry on with you into the next cycle, okay? With the Wheel of Fortune here, this is the indication of a new cycle beginning. Consider a Jupiter cycles are something like 10 to 12 years or something like that. 10 Wands, somebody had a great struggle in the last decade or so and ultimately has come out on top, as the King of Wands. As the King of Wands. And I would venture to say with the promise of, it's like perhaps that next evolution is fitting to be the Emperor. That's why he led the charge in a sense. We'll see how it plays out. But it's very promising, at least in this regard, with the Wheel of Fortune coming out, because that's like jackpot energy, 777 vibes, which is also a 10, as a matter of fact. I sometimes forget to look at the numbers on the arcanas, but that's 1010 on the board. That's the end of a cycle, the completion of something. Perhaps I did say karmic earlier, didn't I? I did, when I meant to say, what was I trying to say? I said karmic, but I meant to say what was it? Oh, dang it, I forget. When I was looking at the Emperor, I corrected myself and said, well, karma it can be the return. I can't remember. Shoot, I wish I could. It's right on the tip of my tongue too, but I can't remember. But anyway, that's what this is an indication of, like wrapping up a karmic cycle of struggle, having a lot of lessons to learn, some uphill battles, some upheavals to climb, some great feats and challenges, but as the king, either as doing so as the King of Wands and coming out on top, or this is the transition from having closed that tumultuous cycle, turmoil, stress, toil, labor, perhaps toxicity, trauma in some regard, like some intense activity and life experience has now afforded. And what does the King of Wands do? But he takes the experience of his life experiences and ultimately alchemizes them more or less into wisdom. So he gains in the upright now, in the upright, he takes from his life experiences, good, bad, and indifferent, and puts them to work in his decision making and his action taking and his ambitions. In the upright, he learns from the things that he's gone through and finds great value in them. So that's good. That's good money. And the Ace of the Wheel of Fortune is just saying that it's like what I'm getting is, what's that scripture? The suffering of now it doesn't compare to the glory to come or the reward to come. Here I go again, and I don't have my other phone today, so I can't even. I'll post it in the comments, but it's basically the gist of it is, what really matters is that whatever you've lost or gained or suffered is no comparison to the reward that you're about to receive on the other end. And with the Wheel of Fortune, that's like perhaps having to struggle, if not for the past 10 to 12 years, maybe even for all your life, you had to fight, you know what I mean? But then you win the jackpot of, the last lottery, Mega Millions or Powerball or whatever the heck, is a big jackpot. Or it doesn't even have to be like obscene amount of money, but it just is such a windfall of luck, that it ultimately turns it completely shifts the trajectory of the life that you've known it to be. You know, it literally puts you takes you from rags to riches ultimately, from struggling to literally being in a position to make power moves, to create your own destiny, to be the executor of your estate with the Emperor card. All of that is what the Wheel of Fortune vibes give. And it doesn't necessarily have to be money, of course. Like I said, it could just be an energetic turn of fate where perhaps once upon a time it seemed like everything was always a struggle and nothing ever really panned out in a desirable way, to the King of Wands literally just sets his mind to a thing, decides that he's going to go after it or conquer it, or just decides that it's his. And lo and behold, it is. You know, it's that ambition and drive and confidence. You know, when you live a life such as this in the Ten of Wands, where you almost get accustomed to losing, it's hard to really harness confidence and creativity and courage. You know, it's like you're always on the lower vibration of the King of Wands is to be always on the defense, like always ready for action, ready to fight, ready to go to war, because you're always expecting to be there to be resistance in some way, shape, or form. But this is definitely not giving me that, and certainly not with the Emperor leading. That's someone that's in charge of their destiny. There it is with the Emperor and the Wheel of Fortune. That's someone that has learned from their experiences and now is not only in the energetic position to take charge of his destiny, but perhaps even resourcefully so. He has the support and security to make power moves. So, okay, happy Monday. And you know, this is definitely masculine for sure, but we can consider it to be, I may shift these around, but I'm gonna keep it like this for now. We could consider this to be masculine or feminine energy. I mean, it's pretty strong masculine energy with the Emperor and then the King of Wands, and then this guy is clearly a man, and then this guy, you know. The star can be neutral because anybody can embody the star energy, but that's the only feminine essence that even appears to be so on the board. But you can take it how it resonates. It could either be someone that you have a connection to, maybe someone that has an interest in you now that this is coming up in this way, or that you have an interest in, either way. Or it could be you that's operating more in your masculine energies, more proactive and control, dominant, you know, creative, you know, in a more proactive way and less reactive and productive, meaning, you know, being more in receptive energy or waiting for things to come to you. This is definitely with Aries energy. This is somebody that has the ambition and the drive and that's independent in such a way that they're just willing to go for it. So you can take that how you will. And that's the case for any reading. You know, if you're an avid tarot reader, you know that. But an avid tarot reader or watcher, you know that. But if not, then let that be clear that all readings, I don't really like giving the same disclaimers. I know a lot of readings do, to take what resonates, leave what don't. You can flip the genders, you know, blah, blah, blah. I feel like at this point, if you stumble onto my channel and a message resonates, well, if you stumble onto my channel, there's a reason for it. And however the message applies and speaks to you in that moment or even later on is what it's meant to do. So I don't really like to, you know, babysit the reception to, you know, dictate, you know, or impress upon, or influence, I should say, how you should perceive it. You take it as you will, and if it doesn't resonate, that's cool too. That's absolutely fine. So we got the Nine of Cups here, which is definitely, yeah, this is somebody that definitely came up in life. Wow, like, you talk about, like, what did I say? Didn't I say an overnight success? Didn't I say that? That's this energy here, like a star is born. And with wish fulfillment is an indication that it's been by way of spiritual alignment, which of course is the star energy anyway. It's much less about celebrity by conventional standards as it is about being healed, finding the value, true value, as I said here, in all of your experiences and all of your energetic force and what you feel divine and designed to do, and then answering to that calling, expressing that energy in a very high vibrational way, and unapologetically so with the star card. She's naked, he's naked, however you want to see it, and just pouring out into the earth and into the spirit. It's like double fisting, you know what I mean? But in a way that it's an expressive double fisting, not necessarily consuming all, having already have been healed on the inside and just kind of wanted to express that openly, to make an impact. If there's anything regarding celebrity, it'd be by way of the influence of that healing energy, wanting to share it, or just not feeling, feeling compelled to contain it, and it kind of just flows naturally in a sense. And it's because of this 9 of Cups energy where you're spiritually satisfied. You're wanting for nothing. You're not looking for any external validation in this regard. Sometimes it can look different in different spreads, but from what I'm speaking of here, it's feeling like this is somebody that is content with what they have, what they've accomplished. They're fulfilled, just only missing 1 cup to be at complete fulfillment, like holistically satisfied with the 10 of Cups, maybe perhaps in a position to share. Okay, so like I was saying, this could be someone that feels like they've done it all, they've achieved it all, perhaps they've even seen it all, and the only thing missing is this star energy in their life. This connection, as I said, it kind of looks feminine, in a sense, but the star can be neutral. Hell, it can be a masculine desire and masculine courtship, or you know what I'm trying to say, partnership. But either way you look at it, it's someone that is just about fulfilled in every way, shape, and form they can control. And the only thing left to be desired is to have someone to share it with. Hence me speaking about pouring out. This is someone that is looking forward to pour into someone else, to share their wealth, to perhaps share their empire by way of that Emperor card that led, to just share, to exchange in the value of their fulfillment with someone else, perhaps that is also fulfilled and healed, because that's what this is giving me for sure. This is not pouring your cups into someone that is just like a gimme, gimme, gimme type of energy. This is someone that knows the value of reciprocity, that is willing and able to share emotionally, so to make an exchange, a fair exchange here. And that ultimately, in a different way, but similar frequency, has poured into themselves, is content with themselves, has done some type of healing work. How does this really match up? Because it's the same here with that spirit of contentment spiritually. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a new beginning. 9. I don't know. I'm trying to get a synergy or a disparity, perhaps even between these two cards, because in essence, they kind of speak to the same thing about, well, this is more, I would say, spiritual healing than it is accomplishment. So maybe that's the difference, and that can be a far more feminine aspect, probably why the star does appear to be feminine. Not to say that it's not unisex and universal, but in regards to that intention and that innate ability to kind of tap into emotionality, to do whatever, work needs to be done. That's more of a feminine trait as opposed to this clearly masculine energy here seated that's more contented by his actual accomplishments as to why he's fit, why he's emotionally sustained. Like it's kind of the flip flop of the Nine of Pentacles, where she's had more of a spiritual attainment, and so therefore her material world matches. It's like having done some okay, right, so he's done some heavy lifting, some hard labor, maybe perhaps his experience of healing, or even his process of healing, was much more hands-on and intense and aggressive, and a very, and that makes a lot of sense, that it's been more conscious than perhaps subconscious, as with the feminine energy and the star. So it's like opposites kind of, it's like the same, but it's not the same. It's like someone values, perhaps, if you're the feminine or masculine, however it goes, but someone values your process of healing, like they see it as something, I would say inspiring, because that's what the star does, right? Remember I said it's about true influence, pure influence. And they recognize that they had a hard road to toe, but it's like they worked hard. It wasn't like a smart work. It was like, maybe it was too, but it was actual hard work, putting their hand to the plow, which is why they can be content in this spiritual, energetic sense. Actually feeling some sense of happiness and, dare I say again, contentment, with what they were able to accomplish with their bare hands, and more so a reflection of what they did with their mind, their force, their creativity. It's not so much like literally with the hands, but it was more hands-on and aggressive than perhaps this feminine energy, which was more emotional and psychological, perhaps. And the two on one accord, what I'm feeling is that the two synergies perhaps fulfill a certain depth of healing for each other, which is why it's just nothing but the one cup left here with the 9 to the 10. And the 8 is the new beginning, because perhaps the two of them coming together is what kind of fills the void. They've already done what they need to do in their own regard, probably gone as far as they can go. It's definitely giving me like, divine partnership or kingdom spouse type of vibes, even though nothing of that is here yet, but I'm just speaking energetically on what I'm sensing, because I'm feeling drawn to go deeper into these two cards. Perhaps because they're so similar, but so different in essence. And that's the beauty of whatever this partnership, whether it be platonic, intimate, professional, or personal, has the potential to be. That you bring something to the table that's of great value by way of experience, and a potential partner brings something very different, but also very valuable to the table, that contributes to a collective experience that ultimately elevates the two of you, in some regard, that literally, what's the right word? Not elevates, but exalts in some way, shape, or form the two of you. It's like a missing piece type of situation, Yeah. All right, what else we got here? I'm getting all the 2s, and wow, look at that. Yeah, and this is like that collaborative effort. Again, overnight success from the 3 to the 10. It definitely doubling down on the fact that, pardon me, it doesn't have to be a one-on-one type of situation. It could be a collaborative effort But for me, just to stay in that vein, the Three of Pentacles is about coming together, working together, elevation in the mind, like even higher learning. There's something that two components have to add to one another to ultimately enhance the quality with the Ten of Pentacles of each other's lives. So we've gone from Wands, which is high passion, energy, creativity, vitality, that spark, to spirit and emotions with the cups and the star energy here. And the star is actually Aquarius, so it's not really water, it's more air, but there's a lot of water in the card. So there's a knowing here. Okay, what's that about? And is this Virgo? I think the Nine of Cups might be Virgo, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know why I'm being called to name all these signs today, because that's usually not me, to be honest. I just don't feel compelled to do that, because I just feel universally it resonates how it will. But if I'm not mistaken, I think that might be Virgo, but I could be completely wrong, so don't shoot the messenger, even if she's wrong. But that's some mastery. Either way, I'm saying it for a reason. There's some level of mastery of emotions here, and some deep knowing by way of the star card that the two would come into alignment. And by the way, happy birthday, Scorpios. I didn't say that in the beginning. It is officially Scorpio season. 8th house energy. We're in the depths of the psyche, and, you know, digging through the trenches, perhaps, maybe bringing some things to an end, to a close, but definitely for the purposes of a rebirth or a new beginning. So yeah, happy birthday, Scorpios. I hope it's a great start to the season for you. But we have the Three of Pentacles here going to the 10, and the difference between that is the 7, which is about good investments, you know, long-term investments, more or less. So this is about, as I said, a collaborative force coming together of individuals who have invested their energy and time well, whether it be within their own creative force individually, to their own healing emotionally. And now here is the manifestation. The only thing not out here is swords yet, but here's the manifestation of that sowing, the actual harvest of that hard work done with self, and then being open to being collaborative, and it pays off in a big way. The Three of Pentacles being efforts coming together, again, almost actual work vibes. Could be a new project, or it could be picking up, because sometimes this gives me like old world or old, you know, like what do you call it, like not innate, like ornament architecture type of things. Like what was it called back in the day, that class I took, architecture. Damn, it's like where you looked at, dang, I just can't think of nothing today. But where it's like a class that I know I took in high school, where we examined, you know, the art of architecture, pretty much. You know, I don't know why I can't think of, and I don't even think it was just limited to that, but that's what's definitely coming up in my mind. And once upon a time, I don't know why I'm saying this, but perhaps it's going to make sense, I did take a trip to Europe. I did a tour actually in high school in Europe, to many different countries. And one of them was Rome, where I visited the Colosseum. And sometimes that gives me those vibes. And it was with that art teacher that I'm talking about. He was the one that more or less chaperoned the trip. And we did look at a lot of you know, like art history type of class. It was like that, where we examined the relics of the world, and then by God, we actually got a chance to go visit them, you know, by way of, I saw the Sistine Chapel, of course, I saw the Mona Lisa, you know, that gives me art vibes, like an art gallery. I was in the Coliseum. I saw the David, um, the Louvre. I went to the Louvre, the Eiffel Tower. I cruised around in the, what do they call it, a gondola? I never know how to say this word, but a gondola boat or whatever the hell in Venice. So yeah, I've seen quite a few things. Moved around in London and saw how much like the U.S. it was right outside the palace and things of that sort. So I don't know why I'm saying that, but perhaps that's the expansiveness of this potential union or whatever this collaborative effort or connection or whatever this coming together is. This is definitely dynasty and legacy vibes, that it may begin as something very small and seemingly contained, perhaps between two people or three. And before you know it, it's going to burst beyond containment, like beyond limitations. This even looks, archaic in some way, like medieval in a sense, when you look at it, these archways and things like that, which are definitely in alignment with this. What the heck what's the foreign travel about, Spirit? What we talk? Is it just that simple that maybe me, whomever is definitely about to worldwide with the star card? That it's like whatever this endeavor is bigger than life, and that's what the jackpot card, the Wheel of Fortune card, is probably indicating. That with Jupiter, you literally just can't contain, and Uranus with the star card. That's why I'm saying all these signs. It's about the planets. It's about the celestial energy attached to this commitment or this union or collaboration. Is bigger than life. It's bigger than just what's tangible. It's like, as a matter of fact, destiny is an implication of the Wheel of Fortune card. And also, this is like personal destiny. The Wheel of Fortune card is like universal destiny, so it's like whatever this is, it's epic. Like, I'm, definitely get your passport ready, start preparing your mind, your spirit to be perhaps more exposed in some great way, or just more connected, more universally affiliated beyond what, like I said, this little containment here. Something about this is going to be bigger than imaginable. More perhaps exposure than you may be prepared for. Maybe perhaps someone is content, with their sweet little world, and they got their 9 cups and that's all I need. Not somebody may not be, may at this point not realize or even be able to think or imagine how the work, the toil, the labor, and the dedication that was committed in this past cycle, perhaps even in the past life, because that's what also the Wheel of Fortune brings that up as well. Jupiter Wheel of Fortune vibes is like Dharma. It's like you're being rewarded for things that you didn't even really work for in this life. If you believe that, you don't have to, but you can definitely just regard it in terms of cycles within this life, especially if you're over 30, you've at least had your Saturn return by now. So you lived long enough to kind of build some karma and dharma for yourself at this point. And that's the this or the that it's either one, either some are going back into another karmic cycle of lessons to relearn or to test, to retake perhaps, and then others that have more or less passed those exams with flying colors by way of universal judgment and grading, not individual or personal grading, especially not by me, are in alignment for a different fate here. that where you can actually, like I said, you can feel secure pursuing your ambitions and your passions. You have the resources to do so. You have celestial support to do so. And then you have the return on that harvest in a very material form, like something measurable, not just idealistic as even the Nine of Cups can be, where it's like, yeah, I'm good here. I feel content. I don't need for nothing. My bills are all paid on time. I'm happy. I don't owe nobody. Nobody owes me. I like what I do. I like where I live. I like what I drive. It's like, it's settled, And for some that might be the dream. You know what I'm saying? Like that might be the ideal. Not to say that means a person is limited in any regard, but what I'm trying to make a big distinction here is that what somebody idealizes as good enough, just enough, or even idealistic is about to like it's about to spread like wildfire. And it's gonna be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Opportunities out of nowhere, money coming out of nowhere, perhaps even propositions either for professional or personal engagement out of nowhere, people wanting to collaborate, people wanted to date, people wanted to, just be in connection with the vibration that you emit in some way, shape, or form. Like consider the conventionality of celebrity status and what all that life entails. Not everybody is wishing for that, for sure, because it's much more sacrifice than it's cracked up to be, and then reward sometimes, especially when you're dealing with fickle people. But we're talking about like spiritual, celestial, cosmic celebrity success here. We're talking about being in divine alignment with source, and like you almost being a celebrity in the heavens type of thing. And the greatest, you could be well noticed and well known for however that manifests in the earth too. But the biggest thing is that the universe recognizes you as the star that you are, because first of all, you've recognized that within yourself, even on a small scale. And so it is like fanned out. The universe is your stand. Like source is your stand. Like, yes, that's the one right there. Like they got their eye on you. They following everything you do. It's like when you're a mega star and you're constantly getting sent, endorsement deals, pretty much free shit all the time, but it's gonna look like pretty much, or in everywhere you're always moving around the globe or around the planet on tour, whatever the case may be, and people are more or less excited to receive you, or consider it a Renaissance tour where people were given their firstborn at least they full month's rent or mortgage to go see Beyonce. It's like that type of star status, but it's just the favor of the divine that's just aligned wherever you go. Like jackpot energy wherever you go, favor wherever you go. Like that scripture with Joshua is what I'm hearing now, where the commander of the army of the Lord in that confrontation, I'll post that too, I guess, says, where you stand is holy ground. Literally wherever you go is sanctified ahead of you, but especially once you step into that place, it's like an explosion of bliss is what you bring or what follows you. I don't know, it's like chicken or the egg. I don't know which one it truly is, because there had to be an anointing on Joshua in the first place, right? To be given that favor that he earned, right, through his hard work and dedication, following Moses, being dedicated and devoted to his commitment to God and to the children of Israel as he felt led to serve and all that good stuff, yada, yada, yada. It's not meant to be all that, but what's coming up for me is the blessing that he had just by way of his presence, that any place that he set his mind to, and definitely giving me vibes here with the King of Wands, whatever he set his mind to conquer, he's the one that led the children of Israel into the promised land by way of the Bible, right? He's the one. Moses was the one that started the journey, and here's the toil and labor that he put into it, that got them to a certain point. This almost even looks like a desert, doesn't it? But it was Joshua that took the charge, literally took that baton and was able to cross them over. And that's what this is giving me. It's like the toil and labor. For some of us, we may be used to the toil and labor in some regard that in some ways can't even conceptualize the actual promised land. We just been used to getting to it for so long. We gonna get there one day. One more day of faith, one more day of work, one more day of labor, keep hope alive type of energy, where you almost become conditioned to just have more faith for more faith, faith for another day, and kind of can lose sight even of the goal, of the actual big picture here, that you're not meant to cultivate faith to stay here in contentment and complacency, but there's a crossing over set to happen where you have the fulfillment of your wishes and your dreams and your heart's desire, not settling for just enough. The 3 Pentacles is balanced enough. We can make do with what we got here, when you could actually have the 10 more than you can. And here's that dynasty and legacy piece connected to this story. What is divined to you by way of your inheritance, your celestial inheritance, like it's supposed to be yours. It was always supposed to be yours, and you've already proven yourself worthy to receive it. Perhaps it's just that final reception that gets to happen to actually conceive of receiving all that your heart desires, and knowing that that's even going to be blown out the water by the Spirit, because we can't even, it's just impossible for us to be able to perceive the way that the universe wants to bless, especially when we're talking about Jupiter in the mix. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't even control. That's the biggest god of the celestials. Looky here, and look down here. We got counterparts. Just like I said, the Queen of Wands, and here's a celebration. Bam! Celebrating this great win. This is people celebrating in your honor, with you, for you. Perhaps like I said, celebrating your presence, your emergence. I'm getting more celebration with than of, but it could be both. It definitely could be both, especially when we got the 3 here and the 3 here. This is more collaborative joy and bliss, that more of a cultivation of that collaboratively than separately. But sometimes I also see the 3, both of these actually, sometimes I see the 3 of Pentacles as some people maybe perhaps collaborating against or for you. And I also see the 3 of Cups as sometimes even the angels or celestial hosts, angelic assemblies, like celebrating for your coming to, for your arrival, maybe perhaps even your ascension, like there's intangible energies that have been supporting this journey all along, and they're just as much excited about your emergence as you are. They actually, in this regard, are celebrating more than the Queen of Wands. It's like she's on the outside looking at the celebration. Maybe perhaps she doesn't even realize the celebration's for her, you know what I mean? Or that she should be a part of it. Like going back to what I said, you get to be in a place as the Queen of Wands can also be protective, defensive, on guard, in the lower vibration, even paranoid or combative because of the conditioning of life experience, always feeling the need in this regard, just perhaps even to defend your creativity, to defend your innate passions, because the fiery king and queen can sometimes be a little unconventional in their methods and their tactics and their ambitions. Sometimes it doesn't look like how everyone else would go about doing it. They kind of live on their own. They kind of dance to the beat of their own drum in some regard. Hence also the star energy, which is Aquarius vibes. And we know they definitely are rebellious in nature, celestially. That, not all Aquarians, of course, but they have even as much as they are considerate of the whole, there's a rebelliousness in their motivation or in their execution of their of their passion. And so they know something a little bit different, being way down the zodiac line than we are. Then some are, because, obviously there's some Aquarians or maybe even Pisces here, but there's a different knowledge and knowingness in the being, in the body. Like, it's almost out of this world wisdom that they embody. And so they operate from that wisdom, not confined to the conventionality of projections by way of society or what is the status quo or the norm. So there's that energy too, that sometimes coupled with being a bit more fiery and airy, a little bit emotionally detached. If you relate to those vibrations at all, sometimes you get a bad rap, or your energy is resisted, or you run into people that try to contain it or even siphon it, try to take a little for themselves or a lot for themselves in that regard, or try to just, obstruct it in some way. Whatever the case may be, it's like over for that energy where you even have to decide, is it this or that? Like, are these people for me or against me? Is this mine or is this an illusion? Am I safe to be sound here, or is there some hardship coming up the pike? Do I need to defend myself, or am I secure where I am? Am I protected right where I am? Do I have the creativity and the creative consciousness to obtain, to achieve this goal or acquire this ambition? Or do I still need to learn a little bit more, grow a little bit more, do a little bit more? These are the polarities that we experience. Consider yet again the children of Israel. And now I understand, the whole foreign country thing. It's about moving from a foreign land, perhaps into another foreign land. When I was talking about, me traveling here and there, there's different customs that are upheld when you're transitioning. Okay, and they moved from being an enslaved people to being isolated and more or less kind of like I hate to say lost people, but detached. I'll say they were detached from their homeland, they were detached from their past, they were detached from their impending future. They were kind of in limbo, in that transitional space when they were out in the desert or in the wilderness. So it's like there's a different mindset that gets to follow you when you're crossing over into new territory. When in Rome, do as the Romans do, right? Or whatever that saying is. You're not going to go to other countries being what do they call us? Like ignorant American or whatever that statement is. Like, you want to be mindful not to do that, lest you find yourself in a pickle in foreign land. That's definitely not what you want to do. I.e. Brittany Griner. Not that I'm coming down on sis or whatever. It's just that, when you go to a foreign country, you need to know the rules, lest you almost lose your whole life. Thank God she didn't, for something that you wouldn't even get a slap on the wrist for back home. So same thing. It's like new levels, new devils, new territory, new what is the word I just used? I don't know, new ideals, whatever word I just used. But there's a different mindset that gets to follow you into that space and time. You wouldn't want to you wouldn't want to bring the Egyptian slave mentality and, of poverty and listlessness and lack. And I'm sure, consider what it's like, if you can, to be in a slave mind or in a position to be in servitude to someone else, never feeling like you have sovereignty over your own energy or control or a say-so, for the least of the matter. You're always beholden to some other authority. The Emperor card. Got it. Banging. Love it. But the space that they moved into, when they finally took over the land and acquired it, for whatever it's worth, by biblical accounts, they were the authority in that space at that point in time. And they just pretty much had to maintain what was given to them by, their commitment to God's ordinance and things of that nature. So we're still talking about a different ordinance of time, but still it's like what was ordained in one land wasn't the case in the new one. And it really was about what the mindset of the people and what they embodied as to what got to carry on with them. Really why they stayed in the wilderness so long for 40 years in the first place, because they couldn't shake the mentality of slavery and servitude from their being in order to be in a vibration to inhabit the land of freedom, of so-called milk and honey, of abundance. They still had a lack and poverty mentality. So I believe that this is ultimately what I was getting at holistically, that, it's going to be an overnight shift. Perhaps it's not really overnight. That's the thing. For the most part, you have been laboring. As I've said, maybe perhaps in these past few cycles, maybe perhaps in a few lives, or at least your ancestors and predecessors have been laboring for you to have this very experience, hence the children of Israel, or insert the African American slave history that I can definitely speak more to as as what do you call it? A descendant of, in some regard, in many regards. So all of that, whether it's this culture or that, it's about the mindset and the spirit of the man, as to how you get to inhabit the land that's been divined and designed for you to do so. And clearly there's a great shifting that's happening by way of what these cards are saying, but also you can kind of get with it energetically as to how things are flowing. The distribution of wealth is definitely taking a dramatic shift, and karma, dharma is playing out respectively. And those that are that have sown a great deal should be in expectation for a great harvest. And you have to be in the mindset. It's not even a get to, because if you want to inhabit all of what is divine to you, you would need to match that vibration. You would need to cleanse yourself, almost, is what I'm getting with the star card. And I'm sure many of you have. So it's not me telling you, because I hate when readers do that sometimes. It can be disheartening to say, you still need to do this to get that. I feel like if the reading is coming up as is, to where it's already playing out, it's already yours. It's already among you, as a matter of fact. It just may be a shift in perspective in some regard as to how it gets to manifest holistically. But more importantly, it's about the preparation of what's already done. Because as I said, it could be like a, whoa, where this coming from? Where you could almost be on guard. That's why I'm saying this, because you could be conditioned to reject blessings that are just flowing into you. Like, why me? Why are you offering me this? What do you see in me? Or why are you giving me this money? Why are you giving me this house? Where'd this house come? Where'd this inheritance come from? I don't even know that relative. Like all these things. Like if you ever see those videos of people that try to give people free money on the street, most people decline it before they accept it, because generally we have a conditioned mindset to believe that things are too good to be true. And we have unfortunately, an undercurrent of unworthiness in our being that flows so, consistently, that we don't even believe that we should be some recipients of any blessing or bliss, especially out of seemingly nowhere. But I think the presence of the wheel of fortune is to exaggerate, I almost said exacerbate, so maybe that too, the magnitude of the return that you're getting ready to receive, but to remind you that you worked for this. This is not too good to be true, because you've already put your sweat on the plow to harvest it, even by way of just loving yourself and cultivating, answering the call in this life. Much love and honor and respect to the ancestors that put us in a position to have this opportunity, or if you believe so, your past life's work for sure. But it's still justified by way of spiritual judgment for you to receive this great magnitude in this lifetime, and you get to be open to receive it as if it is already so. Like, I deserve, as if you deserve it. Not feeling like you got to do more work or prove yourself, or, oh, I don't know if I can handle. What would I do with a jackpot, a lottery jackpot? I'd probably spend, like thinking you might squander it in a year, as they, you see those videos of people that get rich, and it can't happen now, which is why it's important, especially with Jupiter rewards, to be in the proper mindset and energetic grounding to receive it and actually do well with it, not to be impulsive or compulsive with it, to be wise. Perhaps you got your hands on some money before, and that's what the King of Wands, Queen of Wands does. Remember, I said they're wise from their experiences. So remembering when you maybe had a small little lump sum of money and it went just like that, you have that experience now to know not to squander those ends, especially when it's something really big that could set you up for life with the Ten of Pentacles here. You already have the intel, the experience, the wisdom. You're not as you're not as immature and green to wealth as you might even perceive yourself to be in the carnal sense, in the physical sense. Maybe your life experiences have taught you you're no good with money, or you don't make the wisest decisions, or just enough is more than enough, and you don't need no whole big bank account or no big old house and no fancy car, and you don't need to have a lot of friends or have multiple businesses. We kind of almost dumb ourselves down down to the basics because of fear of what we might do with more than we've ever had before. Fear of our own selves, of not moving in wisdom and ultimately losing again, is the fear when you've been in a poverty mindset. Consider again the children of Israel when they crossed out of so-called poverty, out of slavery and servitude in Egypt, and got to the wilderness. Their complaint was of things of the old land, where yeah, we were slaves, but at least we had good food to eat. At least we had onions and leeks, and we could make soup, and they was tired of manna. So, it's like you leave that mentality, that those deplorable conditions, but then you get to a space that has at least the prospect of freedom, and you start to yearn for the old you, or the old constraints and the confines, because at least it was consistent. You knew what to expect. You may feel that you don't know what to expect of yourself, given the opportunity to handle a great wealth. Now, that was them in the wilderness. Imagine that generation transitioning into the promised land. They probably would have disparaged that land in a year, because they didn't have the mindset to continue to cultivate that prosperity. They weren't ready for it. And so 40 years was a whole generation of enslaved mentality that had to kind of die off in order for there to be a regeneration of energies that would be able to not only perceive of this promised land, but actually conceive it, literally conceive it, to keep it growing and thriving and, industrialized and whatever the case may be, literally thriving, So you may think that you haven't quite healed enough or transitioned enough, or just the pure magnitude of the and the speed of this emergence of whatever this great fortune may be for you, distinctly, uniquely. It may scare you a bit. It may take you off balance, and you may almost feel like you're not worthy of it, deserving of it, or you may reject it energetically in some way because of the disparity of your allotment compared to maybe what you see on the outside looking in. When you start to get rattled with guilt and shame, like survivor's remorse in some regard, like, well, damn, such and such don't have it. Then you start to give it away. You know what I mean? Like, all these things come on the back end of that current of unworthiness by way of a poverty mindset that you've already worked yourself up out of. If you didn't, the harvest wouldn't be showing up the way that it is. Until that generation of servitude died off, they couldn't cross over into the promised land. So you've already proven yourself worthy just by the sheer emergence of the gift and the blessing and the opportunity to move forward in a powerful way. So receive it holistically in spirit and in truth. I feel like that's the main thing of the message. Like, don't be on guard or in you don't have to create these boundaries even unto yourself about what you're receiving, and perhaps even resist a very big blessing that is not just yours for you. This is the cultivation of lifetimes of ancestral ancestral sacrifice in spirit and in truth, which is why they're celebrating that is finally being made manifest. That I'm sure the generations that had passed on in by way of the children of Israel were at least thrilled that somebody got to the promised land, that they didn't do all that work and toiling and wandering in the desert for nothing. That it would have been a sin and a shame if they did all that and then, they did end up going back into slavery at different points and times, but that's a different story. But if they had done all that and never made it to cross over, never seen the promise that was destined for them to receive, that would have been the real shame, that if they had gone from the wilderness and went right back into Egypt right away and had to start literally the cycle all over again. The ancestors ain't celebrating for that. They celebrating because you've already proven yourself to be a powerful force to be reckoned with, to be the chosen seed to inhabit the inheritance that was promised, Oh, the Ace of Pentacles, the biggest coin there is. And I don't have any incense right now, so I don't even know how long this is. So I'm gonna definitely be wrapping this up, because usually my incense kind of gives me a timer. I know when it's low, I need to start winding down. But the Ace of Pentacles is like big money. It's a divine seed. This is the promise. This is the opportunity. This is the resource that, like I was saying, like to inhabit the earth eternally, the seed that never stops growing. Whereas, you get, say you get a big lump sum of money by lower vibrational energies, you could squander it with no vision, with no insight, no wisdom as to how to invest it, how to save it, where to, how to even spend it, what to spend it on. This is the wisdom for the resource here. These are the business ideas. These are the visions. Perhaps you dredging up old businesses and ideas and visions that you forgot about, but now you have the resources, so now they can come to life in a material way, and it's long lasting. There's longevity in it. There is a dynasty attached to it, and so therefore that always has a soil to be sown into over and over and over again. It's like considered the world power, the financial forces of the world, old money, more or less, which is this is what this is. I feel like it's a reclamation of old money, whereas it might seem like it's new to you, and it may be in this lifetime, but this is a legacy and a gifting, a financial fortune that's been stored up perhaps for lifetimes where there's been interference either by way of just celestial order or the people, ancestors that weren't in a position to receive it. But they maintained the harvest energetically by staying dedicated and devoted to the field and the plow. So it was stored up for you in heavenly places. But now is the season where it actually gets to rain down, to manifest in physical time. And it can be as long lasting as you're willing to administer your wisdom to assure that it will be so. But it already comes with that guarantee. The only person that can really F it up is you, by way of not being wise with the investment and with the gift and squandering it. But if that were the case, if that's really what you were destined to do in this lifetime, it would be another holdup, another blockage. You wouldn't even be given it. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm here to assure you that if you're receiving it, you're receiving the opportunity, you're receiving the fortune, you're receiving the legacy, the property, whatever it is that's being passed down to you, it's because you have been designated the inheritor of whatever that estate is. Justifiably, from a celestial judgment on high, you have been decided to be the recipient. So you're already equipped to do well with it. Period. Don't let anyone or anything else tell you otherwise. Yeah, and this is victory and success. There it is. Bam. Victory and success. And again, I kind of left this in the dust a little bit and went more into the material harvest, but this is also rewards and recognition. So like I said, it could be very tangible in terms of, it just being you and your fortune and you doing well with whatever, your destiny pans out to be uniquely. But it could also very much so be celebrity status or recognition and exposure in a way that you didn't intend for, that maybe perhaps whatever that business is puts you on the front stage, or however you invest your money puts you out in the forefront, maybe even in social media or in mainstream media for whatever you accomplished, or just local celebrity star status because of how well you've grown your harvest. Whatever the case may be, this is definitely someone that is head and shoulders above the rest, that is recognized for their achievements one way or the other. So just be prepared that you may have some eyes on you for what you do. And guess what? You deserve that as well. I feel guided to have to say that too. Because some people that didn't necessarily sign up for no star status, many of us love to be rich, but we don't necessarily want everybody up in our business, But, for whatever reason, you may be resistant to that exposure or that lifestyle, but that may just be what comes along with the territory as well, that you get to embrace being celebrated for your accomplishments. It's celebrated literally with the Three of Cups here for your achievements, for your acknowledgments, for your expression, maybe even of your own creativity. Two of the highest creative powers here with the King of Wands and the Queen of Wands. All of that creative force, and you don't want nobody to see you. You don't want nobody to notice. You probably do if you embody any of these fire signs. You probably don't mind. You probably don't mind, but you may not necessarily be prepared for the magnitude. When I'm starting to go into talking about my world travels, which doesn't make any sense in this moment for real. Like, it definitely was spiritually imposed. because I've never shared that before, never felt compelled to. But that's an indication right there that the globe is most certainly the limit in terms, and maybe not even so, maybe celestial, so beyond what we even know to be true for that matter. We're talking about Wheel of Fortune, which is celestial vibes, universal vibes. But conventionally, conventionally so, we can at least say that you may be a worldwide sensation, a household name, what do they call it, a universal superstar or whatever. I forget the term that we use when we talk about like MJ and Beyonce and stars of that nature, where you can go anywhere in the world and somebody may be like, hey, aren't you such and such? Or just know that you're such and such and want to take a picture. Look at these people standing around, with their wands. They want to be in on the action. They want to see you passing by. They want to, catch a glimpse of your presence where they are. There's very much so that too, that you get to prepare yourself to receive, because that is also the gift, that you get to be the example, the living, breathing example of prosperity in the physical form, and for you to be put on the pedestal in that regard by celestial standards, meaning you're already a celestial celebrity, that's beyond just what you can find yourself trending for in society. That's not just 15 minutes of fame where you get famous and clout off of something silly or, something fleeting. This is heaven putting you on a pedestal because there's a great influence and impact that your presence gets to make, to send a message to others of their divine possibilities and potential. That's bigger than life. That's definitely bigger than anything tangible or measurable by society or even global standards. That's, it's celestial. Like Tasha K be saying, like, it's federal. It's federal. It's celestial. It's bigger than even you. All right. So anyway, congratulations. 3 of Cups vibrations here. Celebrations are in order. For sure. Embrace it all, receive it all. You deserve it all, no matter what anyone says. Consider how it feels to be Beyonce, where just as much as she is loved, people always got something to say too, whether it's deserved or not. It's like, how thick of a skin does one have to to be able to receive and absorb all of that, all of those accolades and appreciations and, affinity, but then in the same breath have to shield, in the same vein, have to protect yourself from people saying you're a witch or you're this or you're that, or really literally just scrutinizing and criticizing every single thing that you do. It's like, it's a tough line to toe, but if there's any man or woman for the job, it clearly is you. And whatever great or small way that gets to play out, you are the chosen one. You're a celebrity in the heavens, and such is so here in this earthly realm. So, bravo. Bravo. All right, great read to start off the week for sure. I love it. And I'll just leave it there until next time. Go ahead and put your shades on. And I'll catch you tomorrow. And enjoy your day. Until next time, peace.